Welcome to Be Continued. We're your hosts. I'm Christian.
And I'm Caleb.
And before we get started into our divisional round takeaways, may we just say that was probably the greatest weekend of playoff football ever. If you're not a football fan after that, you're never going to be a football fan. But we're going to go this game by game for our takeaways just like we did last week. So that means we're starting out with the Bengals versus Titans. Caleb, what's your takeaways from that game?
Well, I was wrong. This is my first takeaway. I picked the Titans because I thought that Mike Vrabel's Titans defense would be able to get the job done. I wasn't counting on Ryan Tannehill throwing 3 picks. Was it 3? 2? 3? 3 picks. And I think they would have been better off without Derrick Henry because they were trying to force feed him like he was the normal Derrick Henry, and he wasn't right. But you can't fault Henry for that. He's been out. He's got a metal plate in his foot. They should have just let it roll as it was because Freeman ran the ball really well.
Oh yeah, Foreman's a beast.
Yeah, Foreman, whatever his name is, and honestly, Foreman looked better than Henry.
Oh yeah.
I know that's blasphemous, but not in this game. In this game, Foreman was healthy and ready to roll, and they should have just kept going with it. And maybe one of these days I'll learn to stop betting against Joe Burrow. But he's got sacked 9 times. So that's
just incredible.
Yeah. to win a game, getting sacked 9 times. And what was the defense doing there on that last drive that let Justin Tucker Jr. get in range for that field goal? Like, who was it? It was Jenkins. What my boy Jackrabbit back there? And he missed. Maybe he's done because he had a pick 6 play that he missed.
Yeah.
And I remember back when he was on the Rams.
He's taking that to the house.
Yeah, if he had anywhere near, he was making the play. And he had a rough game. And the Titans, I think the Titans were frauds.
Worst
obvious.
ever.
Yeah, I wish that the Chiefs-Bills game was the AFC Championship game. It should have. Everybody knew they were the top 2 teams in the AFC. And I feel like we got robbed of that being what takes you to the Super Bowl. But yeah,
it's just the way the playoffs work. And this game I have 3 takeaways for every game, and I'll just read off my 3 takeaways for this game. Joe Burrow was incredible. That was my first takeaway. You're getting sacked 9 times. You're not supposed to win that game. The only other guy to ever win a game like that was Donovan McNabb when he got sacked 8 times. So Joe Burrow set a new NFL record for most times sacked and won a playoff game. And not to mention, he threw for 350 yards. And I still don't think the interception was really an interception. That ball clearly hit the ground, but that's this.
I think it was an interception.
Yeah, but takeaway number 2 is Ryan Tannehill equals Carson Wentz just with somehow more turnovers. How's that even possible? All I hear with Carson Wentz is he turns the ball over way too much, which he does. And the numbers lie to you guys sometimes. He always puts in position. But Ryan Tannehill was giving the defense the ball on almost every single possession. If the Titans would have done what he said and just stick with Foreman, the Titans would have won that game because they need to take the ball out of Ryan Tannehill's hands. Ryan Tannehill is not even as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you watch this past weekend, that's saying something.
I think what you saw in that game, what stood out to me, was that sometimes you shouldn't just take the most money you can possibly get. And I'm saying that in reference to Jonnu Smith. Because he fit perfectly in Tennessee. And by the way, so did Corey Davis. I think Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith are better for Tennessee than Julio Jones were.
Yep.
And they would have been much better off to keep those 2 guys instead of.
Well, they weren't able
Julio
to afford those 2 guys. They had to.
Yeah.
And that's because some quarterbacks making, I don't know, what is it, $25 million a year?
Well, Patriots overpaid Jonnu.
Hey,
for what they were going to use him for.
If quarterbacks keep saying what they keep saying, which is, we're going to be the next Brady, maybe you should start doing what Brady does, and that's taking a pay cut. But my last takeaway was, and I know he wasn't 100% healthy, but he's not the best running back in football when healthy. I don't care what you say. It's Jonathan Taylor.
Stop it.
JT.
How many yards did Jonathan Taylor have against, Jacksonville?
He only ran the ball 11 times.
All they got to do is beat the worst team in football. And they get in the playoffs. What did Jonathan Taylor do?
He had 7.
He was a complete and total no-show.
No, his offensive line.
He did not show up.
He showed up. He was the only guy who showed up.
No way.
The rest of the team didn't show up. He showed up. He had 71 yards on 11 carries. Only guy to show up. But Queen Derrick was not ready to come back. And I only said
that is just blasphemous. That's disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
That is disrespectful.
No, what's disrespectful?
You had a 100% fully healthy Jonathan Taylor running behind Quentin Nelson. Was it Ryan Kelly, right?
Ryan Kelly.
So that's the best guard in the league.
Yes.
One of the best centers.
Yes, you're forgetting one fact. Wait, you're forgetting something. Because, yes, the Titans' offensive line sucks at pass blocking. They're the best run blocking offensive line in football.
They sure weren't in that game.
They were when Foreman was in. 4 carries,
Nah.
66 yards.
Nah.
Oh my goodness. All right.
You're just being disrespectful. Yeah, we know you're a homer and you think Jonathan Taylor's better. Yeah, I get it. I think Darrell Henderson's better.
Hey, wait till next season when we get Aaron Rodgers. We'll be first seed. Anyway, moving on.
Jonathan Taylor disappear.
Our next game is Niners-Packers. And again, I'm just going to start this off this time. Can we stop blaming Aaron Rodgers? Is he supposed to be the guy that blocks for the special teams? It's not his fault that they're playing in a blizzard and snow. Yes, I know it's Green Bay and it comes with the environment. But no, the human body's not built for that consistently. It's 10 degrees and snowing, and it's like a metal sheet's on the ground. He's the quarterback, yes. He was up 10-3 with 5 minutes left. It's not his fault the punter got blocked. It's not his fault that the kicker made his kicks. Also, let's not mention, they were about to score, and then the one guy got the horrible penalty in the red zone. They couldn't score on that. Not to mention A.J. Dillon. Was it A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones that had No, it was Mercedes Lewis that had that horrible fumble on the second drive when they were driving there, and they were never able to get their momentum back. But my second takeaway from that game is DeMeco Ryans deserves to be a head coach somewhere. That game plan was absolutely incredible that he did. He's had an incredible playoffs. And I know what you're saying. Defensive coordinators usually don't make head coaches. Just look at Brandon Staley. The reason I'm different with DeMeco Ryans is one reason. All the reports I keep getting from San Francisco are the players absolutely love him. He's a player's coach, and if he gets a head coaching job, he's not an arrogant guy. He wants to get better at everything he does. He has the makings of a great head coach.
They said most of those things about Robert Saleh too. How'd he do?
It's the Jets. It's the Jets.
How'd he do?
They did better than last season.
Not by a lot.
With Zach Wilson, he made Mike White look like a great quarterback.
One game he did.
Two games. Anyway.
No, one game and one drive. After that, he wasn't any good.
And my third takeaway, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy, and I'm prepared for it. Go ahead, give me everything you got in the comment section. Can we consider playing Trey Lance in the NFC Championship game? And here's why. Yes, Jimmy G has a 4-1 record in the playoffs. That's incredible. Can I just read some numbers off to you? He averages in those 5 playoff games 121 yards per game. He only has 2 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He's carried by the running game. Any game every single time they throw the ball over 25 times, they usually lose. The only one they didn't was the Green Bay, and that's just because the defense was incredible. I'm not saying that that Trey Lance is going to be greatly better than Jimmy G, but he can't be worse. Jimmy G's putting them in positions to lose the game every week. He can't throw the ball outside the numbers. It's hideous to watch.
You know, you give those numbers, and obviously they're unimpressive numbers, but one of those stats was impressive. 4-1. When you say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, why do you say that? How many rings does he have?
7.
Right? Isn't that the argument? He's got 7 rings. How many of those games did he dominate as a thrower?
In the Super Bowls?
He was terrible against in the Jared Goff Bowl.
Yeah, but he
That
made
was
the
an
plays
ugly
when
game.
he made the plays when he needed to at the end.
Edelman made the plays in Gronkowski.
He threw the ball right here. He put it in the pocket. You can't.
He's a
put
very
the
accurate
ball.
passer, no doubt. And he's not turning the ball over, so that's the difference. But they're not winning because he's going out there throwing 500 yards in all the Super Bowls.
He did what he had to do.
Not when he played the Giants either time when they lost. And that was the one Giants was the best offense that I'd seen.
Well,
The undefeated Patriots team when they got smacked around. And
the undefeated, but they were up 14-10, and then Eli Manning had one of the greatest drives we've ever seen, including the helmet catch. I mean that.
But the point is, when people look at Tom Brady, they just, he wins all these championships. He's got 6-7 championships. He didn't play great in all those games.
But he played great when he had to.
So does Jimmy G. He's 4-1.
What point in that game did he play great? The Super Bowl. Let's go back to his only playoff loss. That Super Bowl to Kansas City. Who was wide open, streaking wide open down the field?
I don't know.
Emmanuel Sanders was wide open when he overthrew it. Guess who knows how to throw that ball? The guy he's going to be going against this weekend, Matthew Stafford.
Well, Matthew Stafford is an elite quarterback.
I agree.
There's a difference.
Yes.
But it's not saying Trey Lance is going to be any better. You keep riding with who got you there.
All right. What's your takeaways, though, from this game?
My takeaway is that was the ugliest game of the weekend. And if it's possible for neither team to deserve to win, it was definitely that. I feel like the 49ers had probably the weakest win I've ever seen. Their offense was Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel alone. And actually, really, their offense was Robbie Gould and the special teams. And let me just say, why did the Bears let Robbie Gould go?
Why'd the Giants let him go? Why'd everybody let him go? He was great.
Like,
he's good as gold.
But Gould, I mean, the Bears haven't had a great kicker since.
It's called the Gold Curse.
Wasn't that when wasn't the Dumbledoink after Robbie Gould was let go? Come on, guys. Yeah. It wasn't a beautiful game, and I'm tired of the Rodgers slander. And people will criticize Rodgers because he's got a bad home playoff record. He's playing in Green Bay, and he's a quarterback. He throws the ball. It's hard to throw the ball when it's in like sub-zero temperatures and it's snowing.
Their team's built more like a dome team.
Yeah, and I think if Rodgers is smart, and he is, contrary to what liberals and Democrats think about him, I think he should go to a dome team or at least a warm weather team. Maybe he replaces Brady down in Tampa.
He's coming to Indy.
Yeah, you can
Indy.
dream.
He's coming to Indy, baby.
You can dream.
Nope, he's coming to Indy. This jersey behind me.
It's got to be a trade, right?
Yeah, we're gonna give up 2 first-round picks. Carson Wentz, please take Carson Wentz, Green Bay. Be my savior.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I hope he is.
That's another topic. I don't think he's going.
He's going somewhere. But anyway, our next game, I'm gonna let Caleb have the floor because this game probably, just like me, gave him a heart attack, but also was ecstatic and happiness, but also a major heart attack. So have the floor.
I can tell you, when I was watching this game, I was getting ready to have a stroke in that fourth quarter. Like my heart was pounding. I felt like I was on the sideline or on the field. But man, the Rams gave the Patriots. I say the Patriots because they basically are the Patriots. Tom Brady and Gronkowski. The Bucs every opportunity to come back and win this game. And people, I listened to Skip Bayless and him rave about Tom Brady coming back and all this. How many extra opportunities did he get that they didn't deserve?
40 million.
Come on. The Rams did everything they could. Gay missed a kick that he always makes that would have basically sealed it. Akers was like on the end zone, like getting ready to go in the end zone, and he flipped over and dropped the ball. And Kupp fumbled. He never fumbles. Brian Allen, what are you doing at center? Just like snapping it to midfield for the Bucs to have it. Like the Bucs were set up perfectly, and I would think if the Rams had blown that game, it would have been much more about the Rams giving it away than the Bucs taking it. And that was the sloppiest second half of football. And
don't you just love Tutu Atwell?
Oh, good grief! And I was just thinking that I even tweeted it during the game when Brian Allen had that snap. I said, just remember, they took Tutu Atwell instead of Creed Humphrey, who was the number 1 ranked center, according to Pro Football Focus. They also ranked Brian Allen pretty, middle of the pack. So, whatever. But Rams did everything they could to try and give it away. But how about let's give it up to Matt Stafford. Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback in the league. I've been saying it all year. You've been rolling your eyes. Oh, you can't take him out of Detroit. Oh, he's doing nothing in the big games. Well, here he is. He's in the big games. He's got a defense for once. He's got skill players all around him, and he is showing up.
Excuse me. You just stole what I was about to say. I didn't even get a chance to say I'm sorry. I was wrong. All right.
You need to.
There's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot of apologies coming out from me in about the next 20 minutes.
Some respect on that man's name.
Matthew Stafford is a top 6 quarterback. I'm sorry for even putting him in the same sentence as. Hold up, I need a period. Carson Wentz.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. That was idiotic stupidness.
It was.
But wow, Matthew Stafford, you were on fire that game, putting the ball wherever it needs to go. I'm rooting for you. Please just do great, man. My next takeaway is, you know who Tom Brady reminds me of? He's Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
You think he's dead, and he comes back to life every single time.
I never thought he was dead. I knew the Rams were going to let him back in. I knew it, beyond the shadow of a doubt. I've watched the Rams play too much, and that's what's scary. I think this Rams team could win a Super Bowl, but I don't think they will. I mean, that could change depending on, we'll not get into that yet, but man, the Rams just do not ever want to just fully dominate a game. And maybe Sean McVay will someday figure out that, you know what? If I'm dominating somebody in the first half, don't change it. Just keep doing the same thing. Keep the defense the same. Keep the offense the same. Do everything the same.
It's Sean McVay. But I need to say this also. Caleb, I think I'm the reason Cam Akers had a bad game. Because what was my one takeaway that I said last Thursday?
Cam Akers looked really good.
And that he
Unbelievable.
was going to be who with more explosive, like more power. I said he was Todd Gurley. I was wrong. Todd Gurley, I apologize to you for this because I'm not even sure Cam Akers is even as good as Trent Richardson. That was pathetic. He was fumbling. Who runs the ball like this?
I wonder what Todd Gurley's doing now. What'll come out of retirement?
Well, actually,
Todd, give the Rams a call.
No.
Sean, give Todd a call.
No. Sean needs to give Sony Michel flowers and apologize.
Give that man the ball.
That man in the playoffs is a monster. He had a Grant combined 0 yards, but we all saw him against Arizona. How did he look against Arizona? How did he look against San Francisco?
There was no reason to change the game plan. You should have kept riding Sony Michel and used Cam Akers as your change of pace. Absolutely. They shouldn't have changed it up.
And now we move on to the game that I'm so happy to announce. This was the greatest game I've ever watched live. Caleb, do you agree, or do you still think it's Rams Chiefs?
I still think it's Rams Chiefs.
All right, but
because of the magnitude of this moment, because it was playoffs, yeah, I would say this was like bigger, but the Rams was more fun to watch.
Also, the Chiefs proved me wrong. This was the first time since last season they finally looked like a team that can contend for a Super Bowl. I've been waiting for everything to come aligned on that offense because, yeah, they put up 42 points against Pittsburgh, but they had that slow start. From the moment that clock started and the game started, Pat Mahomes was absolutely flawless. And I was wrong about the Chiefs. They're in the championship game. They're going to win the Super Bowl. There's no other way to say it. I don't think anybody has a chance against them. It's Pat Mahomes.
I seem to recall you saying that they were... First, you said they weren't even going to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I said they weren't going to make it out of the wild card weekend. They were going to make the playoffs. I was wrong. And here's another takeaway. They're going to win that Super Bowl. It's pretty much just between who's going to be in it. But also, I got to say this. Every single time I start a new podcast, when I did King's Corner, do you want to know what the Super Bowl was that year? Chiefs Niners. If we just started this one, if it's Chiefs Niners again, I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, it's just prone to be Chiefs Niners every single time I start talking about Super Bowls. And I don't want to see that Super Bowl. I want to see Rams Chiefs. I want something like 2018 again. And I'm hoping for it. But my next takeaway from this game is Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes are pretty much one and the same quarterback. And it's pretty much 1A, 1-2, 1B. But if you had to give the edge, you have to give it to Mahomes. Just because Mahomes, the accolades, MVP, a Super Bowl MVP. As much as I would love to see.
And he's a Grim Reaper. So
he's a Grim Reaper. Also, what about Andy Reid? Every single time he talks about things, he talks about foods. And after a game, food. In the middle of a game, death. What? Yeah. Hey, I'm rooting for you, Andy. I love you,
I'm skeptical that he really said that, though.
I am, too. But
it's an all-time line, though, if he did.
And I think this should be the takeaway we all take away from this game. Can we please fix the overtime rules? There's no reason this game should have came down to a coin flip.
It didn't.
It did.
It didn't.
It did. The overtime rules they should have. I don't want college rules. I do not want college rules. I don't want a 145 to 142 game. What I think they should do is I think they should keep the quarter down to 10 minutes, but do what the NBA did. Play one more overtime period. Just play another quarter.
When after the Chiefs won the coin flip, did they go out and run the offense against nobody? Was anybody on the field against the other side?
There was nobody on that field.
I seem to recall 11 guys for Buffalo. The number one defense in the NFL, the number one pass defense in the NFL was out there. It's defense wins championships. Play the game. You need one stop. If they stop them once, all you got to do is go down and kick the field goal.
Question. If the Bills won that coin flip, who's winning? Who won that game? Who wins that game?
Probably the Bills.
Thank you. It came down to a coin flip. Should never come down.
It didn't come down to a coin flip.
It did come down.
It came down to the Bills' defense not getting the job done.
You can't stop an all-time great quarterback.
Yes, you can.
You cannot stop an all-time.
Somebody forgot to tell Michael Strahan that. Somebody forgot to tell the Giants that.
In overtime? In an overtime shootout, you cannot stop an all-time quarterback. You couldn't stop Peyton Manning in that moment. You can't stop Tom Brady in that moment.
Sure you can.
No, you cannot.
It's called play defense. Defense is an important part of the game.
Oh, my goodness.
Make a play. Make a stop. All you got to do is stop him once.
All right, old man. Go ahead. What's your takeaways from this game?
My takeaway, number one, is people need to realize that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, when they're doing all these cute little throws, the sidearm throws, the no-look throws, you better quit disrespecting Matthew Stafford because he's been doing these things for 11 years. He's He's been doing these things all this time. And everybody's like, oh, these guys doing things never been seen before. What are you talking about? Matt Stafford's been doing this all this time. His whole career has been doing this.
That's true.
Got an elite arm talent, just like these dudes, but he's older now.
Actually, I'll say this. I think Stafford's arm a tad bit stronger than Mahomes. Stafford has a cannon on that thing.
He does. It's about time you put some respect on that man's name. But, I mean, this is a golden age of quarterbacks, and the AFC is just loaded with them. And it's going to be even more loaded when you-know-who joins the Raiders.
Oh, hey. Wait. Who's the who you know who?
Aaron Rodgers.
No. Aaron Rodgers come to Indy, but I will say
he's
this.
probably going to go to the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to trade
If I'm Aaron
Derek Carr to
Rodgers,
the Eagles.
Actually, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'd want to go to. I do the Tampa Bay thing. You don't want any piece of the
True,
AFC. You don't want because you'd have to go through Mahomes, Allen. Then you have Herbert, who's probably going to start coming into the playoffs more. I mean, there's all these quarterbacks. The AFC is QB loaded.
It is.
The NFC, it'd be you, Stafford. Are we even sure Brady's coming back? I mean, are you scared of Russell Wilson?
I think what you're going to start to have to see is these AFC teams are going to start loading up on defense. They're going to have to start they're going to start being able to play.
That's true. And you know what? I will say this though: when Jim Harbaugh gets to them Raiders, it's going to be fun.
But I do have my number one takeaway from the Chiefs game. I was right. I said way back when you said, Chiefs are going to lose the first round, won't make an effort. Here they are.
Hey, what's your playoff record?
They're going to be in the Super Bowl.
What's your playoff record?
Yeah, but if I pick the Super Bowl...
What's your playoff record?
When you said they weren't even going to barely make the playoffs.
I'm 8-2. You're what, 500?
Nobody cares about that.
You're 500. You getting a lot of these games wrong, Caleb.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, who cares? Anyway, thank you for watching this episode. Until next time.
To be continued.